Here we have the Earth. Looks pretty, but looks can be deceiving. You see, this particular Earth belongs to the cyberpunk realm of our own reality. Our reality and this creation of Mike Pondsmith's are eerily similar, but let me assure you, this is the dark future, and you don't want any part of it. Our beautiful spinning ball here is controlled by corporations and the government. So let's pause real fast. The timelines and happenings of characters like Saburo Arasaka and Johnny Silverhand and others have been omitted because of spoilers and the fact that this will be a basic and simplistic overview of the complete timeline based on the Cyberpunk 2020 sourcebook created by Mike Pondsmith from Artel Games. The timeline will start in the modern era, as most pre-modern cyberpunk history relates to key people's milestones. It's important to note the government has control at this point in time, while corporations worldwide advance tech and scheme in the shadows. It's currently 1989, and it's a period of unprecedented corruption, as the Gang of Four, or CIA, NSC, DEA, and FBI, combine to run the government behind the president's back. In 1990, you have the first Central American conflict, as we see a unilateral condemnation of America for its interventionist actions in the Central Americas. The Treaty for the Panama Canal ended and the Panamanian government took control of the canal. The US then sent in military to regain control, but the Central Americas resisted in a guerrilla warfare-like fashion. The US is then forced to send in the best high-tech cyber soldiers of the 90s, mechanical light infantry battalions. As this war in the Americas rages on, we notice the fall of South Africa. There is little to no contact with South Africa for the next 4 years, but rumors of genocidal wars and other atrocities are happening. Riots in London also ensue between racial and labor extremist factions during this time. All the while, corporations kept churning away. On a brighter note, in 1991, we see the Aerospace Agency's Hermes spaceplane has been launched. The development of Q2, the fuel of the future, engineered by Biotechnica, has emerged, and the artificial muscle fiber has been developed at Stanford University. In 1992, sees Japan, Arasaka joins the world market and creates a combined Euro market, which inevitably invokes numerous tariff zones on the European nations, which installed Arasaka's supreme regulation over most industry. This gave birth to the Eurodollar, or eddies. The Gang of Four, which controls the US behind closed doors, declines to enter. In 1993, the first TRC biological chip developed in Germany, and the AV-4 assault vehicles were created for subduing riots in the US urban areas. Disaster strikes in 1994 as the US, embroiled in corruption, war, natural disasters, and nuclear power plant explosions, then implodes and causes the already teetering world stock to crash. Corporations slowly supply new tech and subtly take full control in a myriad of bribes and closed-room dealings. In 1995, we see the Aerospace Agency and the Pan-African Alliance make agreements for the first mass driver to aid in collection of resources. In 1996, America collapses, weakened by the stock crash of 1994. Many American cities were reliant on the corporate market, and the growing unemployment and homelessness overwhelmed the local governments, who were left to pick up the tab. 1 in 6 Americans become nomads, pledging their allegiance to roaming feral gangs. Lawyers and corrupt officials are lynched in the streets, and martial law is declared. 1 year later, in 1997, brings us to the Middle East meltdown. Tensions rise in the Middle East, and a nuclear exchange is escalated, and the Arab Emirates is reduced to nuclear waste. World oil supply is reduced by half, making it no accident that Q2 ends up soaring in popularity. 1999 shows that U.S. martial law is ending and the Uniform Civilian Justice Code being established, as well as a lunar colony being built to provide resources for orbital structures. Which leads us to 2000, and the base completions for the Crystal Palace are underway, as well as the founding and implementation of the net. 2001 hosts the Wasting Plague as it hits the US and Europe, killing hundreds of thousands. 2002 brings a food crash and a mutated plant virus destroying Canadian and Soviet crops, but the US and Europe's crops are fine due to a new biological counteragent. In 2003, we have our second Central American conflict as the Gang of Four start their antics again, only to be swept away with reform from civilian and political dissidents. From 2004 to 2005, we see a host of new tech like cybermodem, but also the first corporate war where 18 corporations including EBM and Orbital Air battle for control over the once leading, now failing Transair. In 2006, we have the first clone born, and then immediately off to our second corporate war in 2007, which is a large corporate dispute of South Asia oil reserves. Petrochem has been involved in this one actually. 2010 brings us the end of the Second Central American conflict, and in 2011 the Crystal Palace is completed, solidifying Eurospace's hold in high orbit. Corporations now control the world stage from the shadows. We see many tech advances, but in 2016 we also see the third corporate war, which takes place in a matter of months. There are some things I could include during the next time frame, but the fourth corporate war and many other undertakings are literally the basis of the pen and paper tabletop RPG Cyberpunk 2020 created by Mike Pondsmith, and which this whole timeline is based off of. I highly encourage you to create a character and play through the game to see this period for yourself, as I will not be giving you any story spoilers. I also don't want to run into any canon issues leading into Cyberpunk Red, which I believe will close a timeline gap between now, 2020, and then bring us to here, Cyberpunk 2077.
In 2077, they voted my city the worst place to live in America.
But wait, let's rewind and go back for a second. Here we are, back at Earth. It looks so innocent even now, looking back at all the hell the corporals have put it through, you know what I mean, and the government agencies. And I hope you guys do, you know, found something useful, and I hope you guys like this timeline. I hope you found it, you know, helpful in any way. If it'd be cool if you drop me a like and possibly a share, because this took forever to make, dudes. And I mean, you know, it just, there's a lot more I could have included, but this video would have been an hour long. So please let me know if I got anything wrong, or if I could add or do better in any way whatsoever. Just let me know in the comment section below. Let me know your thoughts about it. And if you have ever burned your grilled cheese, I mean burned it black, and still ate it anyway because you're too lazy to cook another, then make sure you like and subscribe. And until next time, piss off.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. I like good pussy and I like good trees. Smoke so much weed you wouldn't believe, and I get more ass than a